After a pretty long lull, the luxury real estate market in LA is showing some signs of life again. This whole NAR verdict situation is on track to possibly completely change the home buying process, and new home construction in LA is down, like way down compared to last year. Today, let's talk about some of the top industry headlines from the past couple of weeks. The Real Deal reported some good news in the luxury real estate market out in LA. The high-end market has seen an uptick in home sales for the first time out there in over a year. Now, high interest rates have definitely put a damper on the luxury market as a whole for a while, but the mansion tax in California passing in April of 2023 was kind of the icing on the cake. Luxury home sales for properties priced over $5 million came to a screeching halt almost immediately after this thing went into effect. But as of the most recent report, signed contracts for homes priced between $2 and $5 million have increased by almost 7% year over year, with an 8% increase from the prior month. And the same trend was seen in condos as well, with a whopping 31% increase in sales of condos priced over $2 million when looking at this year compared to last. That headline had me fooled for a second though, because like you guys can tell, they're not referring to the homes that are priced over $5 million. These are all the ones that were impacted by the mansion tax. A quick look at Zillow shows us that there's currently 491 homes for sale across Los Angeles that are priced at $5 million and above. A lot of these are racking up days on market, and a lot of them also have had recent price reductions. And when you look at the data that shows the LA market as a whole, it still tells us that the overall market saw signed contracts actually decline 8.4% year over year. So see, these headlines can kind of spin any narrative that they want to, but my guess is that we're not going to see a real sustained increase in activity until interest rates start to tick back down a bit. And I hear that might be happening sometime soon. It depends on who you ask. I guess we'll see. Speaking of interest rates, the buyers of these luxury homes who don't want to wait for interest rates to come down have been still buying just using cash, and that's been giving the market a little bit of a pick-me-up. Redfin reported that prices, sales, and inventory of luxury homes, which are defined as the top 5% of the market, are all outpacing the overall housing market. This Redfin study is looking at the US housing market as a whole, but I can speak for my market out here in Arizona and say that I've definitely seen this trend happening. We've got a few pockets of town here where luxury listings are continuing to hit the market and continuing to go under contract, whether they're $10 million mountainside mansions or smaller $2 million infill spec homes. And all the luxury brokers that I'm talking to say that a lot of these luxury buyers are still buying just because they're not nearly as impacted by swings in the stock market, interest rates, or the economy as a whole. Redfin's report says that 42.5% of luxury buyers paid cash during the third quarter, compared to 34.6% of homes which sold to cash buyers just a year ago. Then according to Ryan Serhant, a big reason for this is that there's a flood of foreign capital coming back to the US because of all these geopolitical fears around the world. Let's get away from the luxury real estate market here for a second and talk about this whole NAR lawsuit situation. Apparently this could really change the cost of home buying and home selling going forward. If you guys missed this story, the gist of what's going on is that after a 2-week trial, a jury found realtors liable for conspiring to inflate commissions on over 260,000 home transactions in Missouri, Kansas, and Illinois. See, if you've ever sold a house before, you probably know how this works. You're going to be paying as a part of your closing cost a 3% commission to the agent who's representing you as a seller, and then you'll pay another 3% commission to the agent who's representing the buyer who ends up buying your house. So this means that if you were selling a $400,000 house, you as the seller are going to be coughing up about $24,000 in realtor commissions. Well, sellers now are arguing that this is not fair and that realtors should not have been making this much money all this time. That's why they filed this big lawsuit, and they actually won to the tune of $1.8 billion. If this decision holds, this really could be a big deal. I mean, there's always been complaints for as long as I can remember from people who are saying that real estate agents are overpaid for what they do, particularly buyer's agents who represent somebody who's probably finding properties themselves on a website like Zillow anyway. So this ruling decision makes you wonder if sellers eventually will not be required to pay that same 6% commission for all that much longer. As somebody who's bought and sold a ton of real estate, my take on all this is that we really need these realtors in our lives. They do way more than just push paperwork around. So I'm really crossing my fingers that this verdict doesn't completely turn the real estate brokerage industry upside down. Zooming back to LA, a study from a group called Hillgard Analytics found that new home construction in LA is actually down about 5.3% compared to this same time last year. This is not an ideal situation for LA because even though the population actually decreased the past few years out there by 180,000 people in 2021 and 90,000 people in 2022, the city is still facing a severe housing shortage. Developers just aren't building enough homes to meet demand in LA, particularly with affordable housing. The Real Deal reported that the city handed out around 11,500 building permits from January to September, which means they issued construction permits for 640 fewer homes during the first 3 quarters of 2023 compared to 2022. There's a few reasons why developers aren't pulling as many permits right now. For one, there's just a ton of uncertainty in the market. For two, interest rates are crazy high, especially for hard money loans and construction loans. And for three, supply has been down in LA for a while, meaning that there's less deals and opportunities for these developers to buy and then turn into more housing. The good news for anybody living in LA, though, is that this whole housing shortage will likely be temporary because as the market continues to feel the impacts of not enough houses being built, and that will create even more demand for new homes, which means that developers will start probably pulling permits again to build more new homes. That's a wrap for today's industry report. Let me know what you guys think about all these headlines down in the comments. I'll see you next time.